we're going to start with some industry relationships. Basically, when we were talking about, kind of this presentation and how we wanted to boil it down, Kelly came up with this analogy, and it's basically it's professional dating, finding your online work spouse. I talk to these ladies right here all day, like every single day, and it keeps us sane, whether it's going through a pandemic or just staying sane, working online and working by yourself in your own house, and really never leaving your house. So just being able to find somebody that you can relate to, that has the same caliber of drive that you do and is in the same space, but also does different things, it's been just an instrumental part of our growth professionally online. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
So it's so funny because I've been working virtually online for 8 years now. And for the first, I don't know, like 6 years, well, maybe not, maybe first 5 years, the Facebook groups that exist now didn't really exist in the capacity that they are now. I didn't even know there was a term for what I did, because I did this as a reaction to the last recession. And I got pulled onto a project for some designers in California that I worked for about a year, to work with Kelly, and that's how we met. And literally it was like, we did a Zoom call going over the scope of work and all this stuff. We got off the phone with that meeting with those designers, and literally I think we were on the phone for like 3 hours after that, like literally spilling the tea, like, this is what's going on, what do you do, how do you do this? Because I'd never connected with somebody who did what I did, and it was so like refreshing. And I know a lot of people would be like, but that's your competition. It never felt like that. It was like, I finally have somebody who gets me, who gets the frustration and the struggle of providing remote services, because they're not that hard, but there's still hang-ups and different things like that when you're working with personalities virtually. And sometimes things get misconstrued via text or email. And so to just like connect with another me was literally like one of the best things that ever happened in my business.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. And I think the thing too is you have to kind of check your, if you want to build relationships, there's a certain point where you have to check your ego at the door. So, if you go in and you just assume you're better than everybody, then people are going to read that, and they're going to just automatically think that you're a bitch.
Tell them something,
which is fine for like, showing up on site and putting your foot down and letting those men know that they can't mess with you. But at the same time, we all deal with people that are snotty all the time. So be open to letting people approach you. And even if they seem like they may not be the best fit, sometimes people have a guard up until they let it down. So just be open-minded, and if you have a particular skill set that you think that somebody else might like and someone approaches you, be willing to be a mentor, even if it's just, hey, I'm here if you have any questions. I'm here, just let me know, sort of thing. So.
And I'm just going to talk about the competitive nature a little bit, because I first reached out to Kelly when it had to be, I don't even know how long it was, but it was after I started eDesign Tribe Facebook group. I saw you, I think, talking in Nancy Ganzikoffer's group, her business group, and I was like, she knows her stuff on Chief Architect. And at that time I was using Floor Planner and integrating it with Photoshop, because that's just what there was. Our program didn't exist at that time. And I was like, okay, so tell me, like, how can we talk about this? Like, let's just have conversations and like connect, because I was just craving that. Though I do have other friendships online with other designers, they don't do exactly what I do in the virtual space. So I reached out to Kelly and I was like, what's going on? Let's just like be friends. And then she was like, well, I have this other friend that also does renderings. Her name's Sarah. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's so we all started just talking daily. And we all do something different. And a lot of people, when they join, you know, programs and they start doing SketchUp or, you know, whatever it is, whatever rendering software, whatever project management software, you feel dedicated to that one program because it's what you've spent all of your time learning. And you don't want somebody else to be like, oh, well, this program is better when you've invested so much time. And the cool thing about the three of us is that we respect each other's education and background using these programs. And we like to see what the best program is for the best jobs. So if we're getting, you know, inquiries or something from clients, we're like, oh, maybe this isn't a job for this. Maybe it's a job for, you know, for them to hire Sarah or Kelly to do something a little bit more elevated than what I might be able to do. And just having that and knowing that they're not my competition. We are all here to grow and to be better. And that's honestly the reason why we've been so successful. If we didn't band together, I don't know what would have happened. I don't think we'd be where we are right now.
Let's not even think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Like if it would have happened.
I know, but it's crazy to think about that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny though, because Kelly and I send work to each other all the time. You know, I'll have a discovery call with a designer and they're like, I've been using Chief Architect and I love this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Let's not reinvent the wheel. You might be a better fit to work with Kelly because she works with Chief Architect. Why bill more? Why, you know, it just sometimes makes sense. So we pass work back and forth like that.
I'll actually pass work to other designers too. If I know that they're giving out a good product and I feel comfortable with them and I've got a good relationship, or even just they have a really good rapport. If I'm overwhelmed or I'm busy, like, you know, just went on maternity leave and then get back, for 4 months, I've been referring potential clients to Sarah and Sonia and multiple other designers that I think have a strong presence that I feel comfortable with them taking on the work instead of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's networking.
It is. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in the next slide, I think. But just a few like key points to why we do this. You know, just meeting peers, obviously, to elevate your business, like we just said, bounce ideas off each other. I have these crazy ideas all the time. And I'm like, okay, guys, is this stupid or cool? Like, I can't tell the difference. And so they're like, no, totally cool. You should totally do that. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to like, you know, talk to Laura and see how we can implement this and then go from there. And then accountability. Like if you have this crazy idea and you don't implement it, you'll never know if it was a successful idea or not. You have to just try, right?
Yeah.
So accountability, we're all like, so did you actually do that crazy idea that you were talking about the other day? Okay, cool. Like, let's see how it pans out. And then just because you work online does not mean you're alone. I sit in this office, well, not this office that you see behind me. I'm actually in a real office, but I sit in an office all day long, except for when Elle's not here, or, you know, she is here, so I work in teepees now, but when like I'm in this room, it's every single day, and it's like lonely. It gets very lonely, especially when I was working for Decorist and Laurel and Wolf, like, you know, when I quit before because there wasn't really anything else, and I had my daughter, and it gets very lonely sitting in a room working endless hours. And I wish that I knew these ladies back then, which is funny because Sarah was also on Laurel and Wolf.
Yeah, it's so
but
weird.
There was no community. There was no community. There was no camaraderie. It was everybody for themselves. And I think, unfortunately, in this industry, it's been like that for a while. And tides are changing, especially with the eDesign tribe, because that's what we do here. We rise each other up versus saying, no, that's not how you do it, because we're all looking to do something that's never been done before. So we all are, you know, kind of changing that mentality, which is really cool. And the designers that aren't here, the ones that aren't online, they're left out, you know, and that's just the truth of it. But they are coming this way. We know that because I'm getting some messages. So. And we're going to open our arms to them for sure, because it's here for everybody. And one other thing that's just a kind of a pointer for if you do create some kind of a group like this, if you are reaching out to people that you think are similar but can also help you to grow online, just don't always be the one that comes with your problems. That's how these groups fall apart, because nobody wants to hear about you every single day. They want to bounce ideas around. They don't want to fix your problems. So don't be that person in that group that is always relying on somebody else. Come with value as well and perspective. And then it can be a lasting relationship as long as you're doing that. I've seen a lot of them fail for that reason, because they're like, oh, she keeps asking questions. And it's like, when's my time? You know? So
I have to tell you, Jenna, right now, but I am okay, so I'm in these like virtual mom groups. And the group that I'm in, the way that they do it when you're not, when you're muted, you do twinkle fingers. And I'm literally sitting here, it's taking everything I have, and I have to be like, twinkle fingers, twinkle fingers. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm sitting here going this.
Okay, well, I can't see everybody else because I'm screen sharing, but if anybody wants to do twinkle fingers at the end of the Q&A, we will unmute you.
Maybe we should start doing that. If anyone feels like they relate, do twinkle fingers.
It's you. Sorry, guys. If this is your first brunch and banter, it's not always serious. It's Sunday brunch, so
hence the banter.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some client relationships. So finding ideal clients online can be, like, where do you even start? Especially if you're new to the online space. Like, maybe you set up a Facebook 10 years ago and you're like, I got to dust this thing off because now I got to find clients while I'm trapped in my house. So finding your ideal clients and virtually networking in groups, one can lead to another. Do you guys want to kind of take that, and I'll go ahead.
It's really funny because most of my work is still really just exclusively word of mouth referrals, but there are a couple of clients that I picked up over the last couple years that are like, I've been watching you on Instagram. And we all know how I feel about Instagram. Like, I love it, but it's like I only have bandwidth for so much social media. So it does kind of sit on the back burner. But I still, there's still pretty stuff on it, and they watch that. And I do engage with people via Instagram. I just don't post all the time. So I think it's just having a presence wherever you're at, and providing value.
Exactly. And be aware that there are local groups too. Right now it's a little bit more difficult, but I'm in Royal Oak, which is just outside of Detroit. And there are local groups, and they've brought everything virtual at the same time. So you have the opportunity then to reach out to those same networking groups, be able to do similar things to what we're doing now, get yourself in, get people used to seeing you, and then you can then meet them for coffee when we're allowed to meet people for coffee. And you don't have to sit 6 feet away from them. You can actually cough on them. They might not get sick. So
I'm itching to get a Florida get together for the tribe when we can be together again, because there's a lot of Floridians in this group.
Well, I know that's what's crazy. What was it? Sarah was telling me when you guys all went to it was IDS, right? She was like, Jenna's really tiny. She's really tiny.
Oh, KBiz. At KBiz, and we met for the first time.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, that'll be an interesting photo.
Yeah, Kelly's way taller than I am, and I feel like I'm just average. So
seriously? Okay, so I've only met Sarah. Yeah, Lauren's like almost 6 feet tall. I only have tall friends, but I'm also like,
no, she's Lauren's 6'1".
I'm 5 feet and a quarter, so it's nice to meet Claire Jefford. I met her when we were there, and she's a little person too. And I was like, oh, we're the same size. Yeah. It's funny when you meet people in real life, because you're like, that is not what I thought you looked like. Especially.
But it's also like, because remember we were sitting, we were in Vegas at the hotel, and you and Cass found me, and like we're sitting across the table, and I'm looking at you, and it's just like this, like we're engaging right now, and I'm like, this is real, but it feels exactly the same.
Right. Yeah, it's weird. It's funny. Most of my friends are online, and I've never met them in person, and I would consider them to be some of my best friends. It's very weird how relationships are formed these days. And same with clients, like just taking it back to this slide real quick. So with clients, that it's the same thing. So what I first started doing when I was really trying to get away from those platforms and start my own business was I was going into Facebook groups that were client facing, and I don't want to say client facing, but they were for general public. Like they weren't run by a designer. They were just, hey, I like this this design style, or I like interior design, and we're just going to come together and like talk about, you know, design and stuff and show my house. So what I would do is I would write blogs, just because I would see questions come up in Facebook groups, and I'd be like, oh, I know how to answer that, and I know how to create a digital, you know, or a visual using Photoshop to convey that, but also make it shoppable so that I can make affiliate income. So what I would do is I would write up these really helpful, I have a how-to series, how to decorate or style or whatever, and then I would share them in these groups, because you can't promote yourself, right? But in some of these groups, you can share blog posts that are related to it. So once I have them on my website, then I can get them to take my style quiz, and then I can get them on my email list, and then we're friends forever, because they're going to go stalk me, you know, on Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook and all those things. So yeah, it's a little bit more about not coming on too strong, because, you know, when you're first starting out, it's very easy to come across as looking desperate when you're looking for clients. So if you consider the fact that like people can smell that a mile away, you know, and you really just have to tailor your post so that you don't come across that way, and that you come across more as helpful and personable than selling. And that's not just for your content, but also how you engage in these open groups. Always check to make sure that it's okay before you post anything, okay? This is something that I don't do. I don't go into other groups and talk about eDesign Tribe. I don't know if you've noticed that, but unless if I'm tagged to talk about eDesign Tribe, I don't go into somebody else's group that has spent hours and hours and hours building it to promote myself. That is so wrong for you to do. And I block it in a second in my group, because that is so distasteful, that I will typically just bounce that person right out. Because if you don't know, you know, that's not an okay thing to do, then you're probably going to keep doing it. And that's not acceptable online. It's just the right thing to do. You don't come into something that somebody has literally spent hours and hours and hours building. I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm on every single day showing up for people. For somebody to come in and start promoting themselves, it's not okay. And that's the same for these other groups. You know, if you are out there trying to find clients, whether they're, you know, design clients, like designer to designer projects, or regular consumer projects, you have to be cognizant of the person in the group that you're commenting in, because you will get kicked out so fast if it's not acceptable by the rules. And also you'll have this stigma around you that it's like, that girl just wants to promote herself in every single way, you know?
And a lot of these women who have these groups are so very kind and thoughtful, but you cross that boundary and you're shut out for life, you know? So they're also business women, you know, they don't play.
Here's the other thing too. It's not just Facebook. If you are in someone's like webinar or presentation or anything like that, don't start putting your contact information. Just be cognizant of who's like where that person is. I did a webinar a couple of years ago, and within that time, I wasn't able to see the questions because I was doing the presentation. By the time I rewatched it an hour later, there were people that were putting their contact information for rendering services, and no one shut it down. That it probably came to about 30 people that had put their contact during that presentation.
Oh my God.
That I lost. Because then there were designers also saying, email me. That's just like
It's gross. I had to took the time to put together the presentation.
Right. I then looked at it and I had to say, okay, well, I don't want to work with them then. Like if they're incapable of really vetting people and they're willing to work with somebody who does this, it's like going to someone's regular presentation and standing up at this beautiful table with flowers and being like, I'm here, screw her, here's her stuff. You know what I mean?
You know, that actually happened in San Francisco.
Oh, I mean, I'd probably
that actually happened.
Here's my presentation. Yep. Okay, moving on. And then, okay, so let's just talk about other ways that we're finding clients online. And then we're going to talk about a little bit more of the etiquette here in a second. But directories to showcase your work and connections. great way, great way to do it. eDesign Tribe has a directory for featured designers, but there's obviously others out there that you can get your information up on. Do you want to talk about the SEO, Kelly?
Sure. So when it comes to SEO, you can do some of the amazing things that Jenna was mentioning with Pinterest and whatnot, but really what you want to do, and it took an SEO expert to really break it down for me. Figure out what your primary keywords are. Start writing blog posts, and if you can't, this is kind of like a conflicting viewpoint. Everyone has a different idea of whether you should write your own blogs or not. I'll be honest, if you look at my website, if it says Kelly Fridline Design LLC for the blog post, I didn't write it. I just edited it and added it. And some of those are driving traffic to my website now. So if you're not a strong writer, or you're not quite sure what materials or what to write about or what will drive it, look into having somebody who is an amazing copywriter, and find somebody who knows the lingo, but not so much that the average person is going to be typing in like, and that was the other draw for me, is I'm like, I can go crazy with ArcaSpeak, but that doesn't mean the average person's going to be typing half these definitions in. So find somebody, or be aware that who your end audience is, but make sure to write as many of those words as possible that you think will drive them from Google. That's my very, very strict down understanding of SEO. But since doing a couple blog posts, like the main driving ones, in the last 2 years, my website has driven more people. It's more than doubled and tripled each year, and now it's doing it each month. So it's an investment, and you won't see an immediate response, but it is a really good thing. And here's the other thing: when you have relationships and you start sending people back and forth in those blog posts, Sarah and I have flat out had designers reach out to us because they read about the other one in the other's blog post. So that's just something else.
Yeah, you can promote your friends.
Yes. Show that you're an expert in a specialized area, because niching down, honestly, that's when I started niching down for eDesign. That is when the clients started really kind of coming in, is when I said, this is my style. It's refined farmhouse. The reason why I call it refined farmhouse is because though I'm a little bit more contemporary, I know that farmhouse is a hot term right now. It's a buzzword. I don't design farmhouses. I don't do that. I design refined farmhouses because everybody thinks that their style is farmhouse. It's not. It's coastal, it's contemporary, it's a mix, it's boho, it's all these things. But when I niched down with the terms, that's when I started seeing the results. And to this day, I have not promoted my design services since October. I haven't filled my Pinterest queue since October. I get weekly inquiries that I send over to eDesign Tribe because I don't have the bandwidth to take clients. So I'm just sending them over to the directory and matchmaking service. But once you do these things, like Kelly was saying, they just keep coming. I saw last night on my phone, I was like, oh, your website has a spike in traffic. And I'm like, why? What have I done? Why do I have 400 people on my blog right now looking at how to mix and match paint colors? Because SEO on Pinterest, that's why. And I did that blog post a year ago, forgot it existed, and it keeps driving traffic to my site.
Here's the other thing. If you are in a Facebook group and you're allowed to say that you're an expert and add content, like contact information, do not say, I'll DM you. Put your website and your contact information there, because here's what happens. If you DM them, then the 50 other people or 200 other people over the next 2 years who don't DM you now don't know how to contact you. So do not privately DM people. If you are allowed to put your website, because 6 months later, somebody who's Googling in that thing, interior designer, that will now show up in that group search.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. And we'll talk about DMing.
Yeah.
You don't know. I don't like it. We'll talk about it in a sec. But how to weed out who you do want to work with and who you don't want to work with. We've gotten to a point now where we can do that. Before, I was taking anything and everything, but that's also how I grew. And that's how I developed. And that's how I knew what I did not want to do. That's how I know what terms I had to add to my contract to prevent myself from having to work extra hours. But also when you niche down and you speak to that ideal client, you're typically getting a lot of inquiries for the person that you actually want to work with that profile. You know, for me, it's somebody that's like me. And that's who I just enjoy working with is, you know, moms of young kids that are like, what am I going to do with this house? Their budget's not millions of dollars. It's not even tens of thousands. It's affordable living for families. And that's who contacts me because that's who I speak with through my posts on my social media and my blog. Also, don't judge a book by its cover. You don't know how much money somebody has in the bank. It's crazy the stigmas that people will think. You just can't. You guys want to talk on that? I don't know if you've had any personal experiences, but
yeah, not so much for me, but just because my business doesn't like get to that point. So
yeah,
the only thing that I judge people on is whether or not they have their name on their website.
Who is messaging me? I want to know.
Like, who is this? Your website's great, but what's your name?
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about influencing and referrals. I did not get into this business to be an influencer. It's not a term I call myself. It is none of those things. However, it is what happens naturally. Like I said, I don't go into Facebook groups and promote eDesign Tribe. eDesign Tribe speaks for itself. It has the tools, it has the community, and it has everything that it needs to be self-sustaining without me having to push it down people's throats. It is what it is, and people love it because of what it is. This can be the same for your business, right? Like if you can set up yourself in such a positive way with your online presence through social media and through your website, then your brand will speak for itself and your consumers will understand and value that brand. There's an ickiness factor when people go into groups and they just promote. I can tell right off the bat when I get people into this group what they're going to be promoting and how they're going to be promoting it. Lauren, you're smiling because I think you know too. So it's just something that, like, if you've been in this virtual space for a while, you just start picking it up, and it happens. I squash it immediately, but the beautiful thing is that it doesn't happen that much in the eDesign Tribe. I see it happen in other groups, and honestly, when I have to remove somebody or have to block a comment because they weren't following my rules that you all signed off when you joined, that kills me, because it's like I spend so much time and provide so much value that all I ask is for you to follow the simple rules of the Facebook group, and that's it. There's other ways to get business versus, going around and doing shady things online. It just doesn't have to happen that way. Do you guys want to talk about sharing your work and helping other designers?
So since the bulk of my business is providing renderings for designers, I share those all the time. And it's like, look at this work. I never take credit for the design. That's not my part. I just brought their vision to reality in a way to sell, to get that check signed, because that's what renderings do. They get the check signed. And it's just amazing, like, how many times those things will get shared, just, because you're celebrating other women, you're celebrating other designers. And when you do that, it makes you look good. It brings attention to, your client or the project or whatever it is. But I think there's just something really graceful about, sharing other people's work and giving them credit and celebrating.
Yeah. Well, the same thing too, like if you're hiring someone for assistance as well, I know sometimes like you can hire someone with the idea of it being a ghostwriter, but at the same time, like, you still give your photographer credit usually, right? So if you're working with a really well-established rendering artist or someone who's trying to do it, don't be afraid to give them credit. And don't feel like you are doing a disservice to your client because you're outsourcing it, because you still outsource certain things. Like you do a kitchen and bath design, they're not expecting you to show up and lay the tile. So why is it expected that your presentation needs to be 100% provided by you as well?
Well, and you also want to keep your trades. So anybody that helps you with your business, you want to keep them in business. And by doing that, you share them as a source.
Right.
Hoarding sources does nobody any good. Because if you want to keep your tile guy that's so good to yourself, and he doesn't have enough work to stay in business, you're not going to keep him in business alone. Like, you guys, you have to share your sources, like share the love.
And I think that's been this weird stigma in this industry for so long that it's like, what's mine is mine, and I'm not going to tell you about it. Good luck. And it's
no, we don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
That's what like I've loved about, I feel like the online climate is changing. And when this first started, really the Facebook groups and the interaction, maybe a couple years ago, what I loved is I was seeing things bouncing off. I didn't feel like I was in design school again, where everyone's like, oh my God, you can't look at my desk. Don't look at it. Nope, this is my idea. I'm not going to share it. And you have to wait until I present it. And then you get torn apart because you didn't run it off of anybody else.
Yeah, we're living in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Never good.
So giving credit where credit is due. I think we've probably all been in a situation like this, a lot of us, where we are scrolling through Instagram, we see our work not credited to us, and it kills you. It hurts you to see that, because not only is that your client's project probably, but it's also something that you just spent so much time creating for somebody else to take credit. The first thing you have to do if you're sharing anybody's work, which first of all, I think it's 100% okay. Like we just said, it's support. And that is the way that we see this. We don't see it as, somebody's trying to steal your work, unless if they haven't credited you and your photographer or anybody else that might've been involved. As long as you're crediting right above the fold, because especially on Instagram, people are not scrolling down that whole post and they think it's yours. If you say, how beautiful is this, blah, 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 from blah, 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 then you've done your diligence and you've tagged that person and you've given ample credit. Also make sure that they, if they have a photographer, that you're also crediting the photographer. But a lot of the times when I see stuff online, I will immediately call them out and I will say, thank you for sharing my work. Next time, please credit it, for me. And I'll just tell you this one story. So I know people share my work all the time. It's fine. It's just the position I'm in, as long as they're crediting. But there was this one person, I don't even know who she was. And I was scrolling on Instagram, saw the only kitchen I have ever designed for eDesign, because it was for a friend. And I just want to see, do I want to do this? And God, no, I don't want to do that. That is not my wheelhouse. So I found it and I messaged her and I said, hey, this is mine. I see that you're taking credit for it, being your design work. Can you please just credit me? And then we're totally fine. And she goes, well, I just found this on Google. And I was like, well, you cropped out my logo from the corner and I can see that. And I was like, again, I'm being very kind to you. And just know that in the future, people will not be. And I even invited her to join the eDesign tribe. She immediately blocked me and took down my picture. I was not in the wrong.
It's crazy what a little research will do. And I've been that person where I was like, oh, so-and-so shared it. I just kind of figured, hey, this is her stuff. I didn't do the research. I forwarded it and I got a nice amount of designers that definitely backed that designer up. And I was like, okay, well, moving forward. And I did a whole post on it. And I made sure 100% any photo that I went forward with, I went down that rabbit's hole. And sometimes it can be one heck of a rabbit hole. And if you can't find it and you honestly have searched for it, A, you can make the decision of not to post it, or B, right in there, I can't find who did this. I love their work. I want to give them credit. Please let me know if you do. And then update that post if this is Instagram, so that you give them the credit and tag them in the picture, because that's going to just drive them back to your account.
Yeah, Pinterest is not a source. Pinterest is a search engine. They did not design the work. You cannot credit Pinterest. You must do your diligence.
Well, same thing with Instagram. Just because you paid for preview account and you can save it doesn't mean that it's like that personal experience.
Hey, you know, you when we first started doing this, rules were like a little, not even that it's rules, it's just when you first start, you don't know. And you don't know what you don't know until somebody tells you. So that's why we're just telling you. Like, you're going to make a lot more positive friendships and collaborations online when you do things on the up and up versus when you're shady about things. And that's just really what it comes down to. Honor, okay, so here we are. Honor Facebook rules. Read them. Make sure you read them, please. And know when it's right to self-promote, if ever. Sometimes it's just not okay in that group, because that's not what that group's about. And for my group, we do a lot of things that other groups don't because other groups do it. And why do we need to do that too? You know, we are different, and that's for a reason. And so a lot of the time I don't do self-promotion threads, but I will do, you're looking for a designer, post your work and let them contact you. Okay, it's the other way around. As much as I love renderers, they are the biggest self-promoters I have ever seen in my entire life. And it is a lot. It is a lot, because now every single one of you guys has access to a $37 rendering software. So, like, you know, it's just consider where you're sharing your stuff. Do these people also have access to do these things? It's just, you know, use your head when you're in groups. That's it. Just like, please be kind.
Don't be gross. Just don't be gross.
Well, I can tell you the market is insanely saturated. So from personal experience here, you're better off to drive people in other ways than be tacky.
Yep. Okay, remember, if you are a business owner and you're going to friend a client, then prepare your personal page that everything reflects your brand. Don't post politics if you're not into that. If you think that maybe your clients aren't going to be into that too, potential clients, you know, just watch what you say online. Let me just talk about my Facebook page here real quick. So I joined Facebook when it was the Facebook, when it was still for college kids. You too? And it's been my same profile. I've never been hacked, knock on wood. That's also because I don't accept DMs. I don't accept DMs, and I used to because I could, because I had a Facebook group that was 300 people. I now have a Facebook group that's 2,700 people in a school with over 500 and a platform with 600. I cannot accept DMs. Like, it's the amount of messages coming from every single angle right now gives me the worst anxiety. Like, so please don't DM me. This is my personal Facebook page. I know that people friend me, you know, because it's there and it's accessible. But if you think about other platforms, do you go on and find them on Facebook and then direct message them? Or do you look for their business information and then email them? It's the same thing. So for me and my team members, I just don't think Facebook is a professional way to reach out to someone. It's a personal way to do things. You want to say something?
And if you're doing the business DM, that's the worst black hole that's ever existed. I still find messages in there that are like years old. Guys, you know what's funny is you're scrolling and you're getting ready to hit that button to send a message. You just scrolled past the email to get there. Send an email. There's a paper trail, you know, and then a lot of these people follow up. Did you get it? Did you get it? Just send an email. That's, you know.
We can track it. We can pull it back up. If you guys saw what my Facebook inbox looks like right now, it would blow your mind. I cannot find, you know, messages from my mom because we FaceTime on there because I don't have an iPhone. So we like message on there. I can't find people's messages that messaged me 2 days ago because there's so many coming to my inbox, and I don't want to look like the you know, bad person here. I won't swear, but the person that's like, well, she never got back to me. It's like, yeah, because that's my personal space. That is my Facebook. I just so happen to have a Facebook group, but it's my business. So please just be respectful of that. Also, don't friend people just to immediately ask them to follow your page. I cannot stand that, and I promise you, I will not follow your page and I will unfriend you. If you don't do that, I will follow you in a heartbeat. I will follow you and support you, but there's something grimy about, I'm just gonna friend you and then ask you for something.
Or just
like,
wait a while, and like if you're friending them, interact with them on a positive level, not private, and then maybe say, oh, hey, you know, because I all of a sudden, I like half the time I don't even check my messages. I didn't even realize until basically I got back from my self-prescribed maternity leave that they now have like filters. Did you guys know this? That they like now filter them now? So if you, if this is somebody that you're not friends with and they message you or you've never interacted with them before, it filters it.
Wow. Yeah.
I looked at it, I've got like tens upon tens of them. And I'm like, well, that's 6 months old. So that's not going anywhere anymore. So just be aware that you are filtered. And if you're not filtered, then just be aware of what Jen is saying, that it's definitely overload.
Yeah. If you want to be guaranteed that you're seen and you're reaching out to people, email is always the best way to go.
Yeah. And Lauren helps me manage that. That's the thing. Like if I have stuff coming to one place, then we can totally manage it. We have CRM for that. We can look up old emails. We don't delete anything. I will never find something in a Facebook search. It just is like a black hole. And you can't turn Facebook DMs off. I see that comment, Laura. You can do an away message for your business page, which I have, that says email me, but you can't do it for your personal page. And if I were to turn it off, because you can show like not available, which is what I have, then I think you can turn it like off, but then I can't talk to my mom. Or
you throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Huh?
You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater at that point.
Right. Like I do still, like I said, this is my personal space. And that's where I do talk with my family members. And no, I don't want to have a business page for Facebook because I'm a real person.
Well, and to give you guys an idea, we had this whole discussion and I was telling Jenna, I was like, just put yourself, like make yourself a public figure page so that you can have people reach out and then you can still have your private one. And she said, no, I want to still have a relationship with all of my designers. I just hope that they know not that like I can't do that and then also be overwhelmed with all of these messages. So
Facebook business, it's great for a posting and sharing posts, but for interaction, the black hole there is even worse than the regular one.
It's such a black hole. Like you don't get notifications usually from them. So yes, Laura, you can totally have a business page and you should already for Facebook for your business. Don't use that as a platform to communicate with your clients because you will so much stuff will get missed.
Don't join my groups with a Facebook page because I want to know who you are. Yeah. I don't want to know what your business name is. This is about a personal connection in this group. And that's what it is. It's just a respect thing. And so when I see DMs that I've been like filtered for weeks that I like did not even see, I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like it makes me feel bad because I didn't get to it, but also this is my family space still. I know a lot of people just use Facebook for business. That is not my personal situation. So for me, this is literally the one corner of the internet, my Facebook profile that I share like family pictures and stuff like that, you know, but I don't do it on Instagram. Like it's just different. On
this
Facebook.
Is the one place I can go back to college and look at those crazy nights. So just don't make me delete my link.
But yeah,
red party pictures from when I was 22.
Okay, so that's not the reality for most of us. This one. No, but to circle back, just don't ever DM anybody from a professional standpoint. Ever, ever, ever. Even because you don't know how they use Facebook, but just assume that that's their private space. Send an email. Send an email.
Okay.
Instagram's a little bit better, though I'm never really on Instagram. Danny does eDesign Tribe's Instagram, so that's actually not me talking. But I do have my personal one, and those are easier to maintain because I don't get as many there, which is nice. But if I do get it, then there's only like 2 places that it can go. With Facebook, I don't even know how many places these messages go. And I'm on Facebook all the time, but I cannot figure it out.
But I would say, that being said, if anyone does want to follow our Facebook groups or anything, you can find all that information below.
Yeah. All right, and then that's all of our other stuff right there. Where like we have courses and eDesign U and the platform, and then Kelly does one-on-one training, Sarah does one-on-one training. That was Sarah's course. I have 2 keyboards here and I'm like just touching stuff all over the place. I'll bring it back up. But is there any questions we can go over for you guys?
Looks like there's some. Just have to read them. There's a few Michiganders in here. I'm actually not like, I'm a Michigander as of 2 years ago. I'm still using Google to get around, but let's see. I think Lauren actually answered a decent amount of these questions. So yeah. Lauren, you're the bomb. Can I hire you? Like we're I was about to say, I was like, when all of this is over, because I actually need to make some money more first.
No, she's got enough with the emails, I think, right, Lauren?
I'm kidding.
What's the cost of a training? Phyllis, which training would you like to know about? Sarah does SketchUp, Kelly does Chief Architect and Home
Designer.
Thank you. I always think it's home styler, and it's like just ingrained in my brain. I'm sorry. Every day I think we have this conversation. And then I actually am not taking mentor sessions right now just because I don't have childcare Monday through Friday. So I cannot. I have one after this, but I've taken my entire weekend to do webinars and one-on-ones. I'd like to have a weekend again.
That's what, and Sarah and I also, we actually do offer mentoring sessions. So they're on our websites. I'm pretty sure mine is under the area that's called training options, and then it's called the discovery call. And then I'm pretty sure Sarah's is under a similar tab.
I think it's at the top and it says accountability calls.
Okay.
I want to say, it's so funny because I just added a bunch of stuff to my website like not yesterday, the day before. You'd think I would know what's on my website, but I just don't look at it every day. Like, you're not always looking at your website. So.
And Anna Lee actually can do one-on-one trainings outside of the platform scope. So if you do want one-on-one trainings, if you use Chief or SketchUp and need to integrate it, or just the platform basics, we don't offer one-on-one training through the $37 membership because you already get so much for that. But Anna Lee can help you with outside training as well.
Yeah, so the cost for SketchUp for the software itself, I use the pro version, and that's like $2.99 a year. It's a subscription.
Is it me? Am I frozen?
No.
Okay. Somebody screenshot her.
At least she froze in like a very nice frame. Oh, there you go. Well.
Okay. Did you catch that at all though?
No.
Okay. So SketchUp is $2.99 for the pro version. It's subscription based now. It's not an actual like buy the program, install it. You just subscribe, download it, and install it. The course that I have right now is $300 off of $697. So $397. That's some quick math for you guys.
Okay, Phyllis, you were saying trying to navigate on the onboarding project for the platform, because if that's the case, you don't need Chief or SketchUp for that. You can really use what's in the program, and then if you go to the render training tab, you'll see at the way bottom, there's going to be SketchUp, where to find extra models. So free in the SketchUp warehouse, and then other models as well. And Sarah and I are working on, mostly Sarah, but we are working on building a internal model building program. So we are certifying designers after they, there's a little mini course that's going to be $97 for platform members. And you get one-on-one training with modeling, technically with Sarah. So like you work your way through the modules, and then there's checkpoints where she gives you sample objects, and then she reviews your objects, provides feedback so that you can advance and be better. And then you can be hired by the platform to create models consistently. And also by platform members that are looking for models to be built. This way we know that you've been trained and certified in the way that we are looking to upload models into our program. So we're creating this ecosystem of designers, not only with rendering in models, but also outsourcing for any task really, because everybody here has been trained or is in the process of training.
And when it comes to chief architect and home designer, that's really good if you're trying to decide between that, Sketchup, and the eDesign tribe. If you are looking for a software to model kitchens and bathrooms and you're doing drawings, like permit level presentation drawings for construction, then chief architect and home designer is 100% the way to go. And you can still use the eDesign tribe. Annalie has built up a great video. I've been working on ways to be able to bring whole rooms into there. It's just there's processes in place, but know that, and I've been telling home designer users who are nailing down that software that if you want more realistic renderings and you are primarily soft furnishings or maybe simple kitchens and baths, you do not have to upgrade and spend an additional $1,000 on chief architect interiors. You can get SketchUp for significantly less money and pay for a membership at eDesign Tribe and get beautiful renderings and still be able to do beautifully tailored permit drawings. It's a matter of putting your processes in place, but this is an amazing opportunity to be able to do a full-blown presentation and save money.
And to just piggyback on that, I know that this sounds like a lot of steps. This is the reality of renderings, you guys. Like, I know this is baptism by fire. This sounds like a lot, but this is how we work. This is how I worked for years. It's just kind of part of the process. I know it sounds like a lot, but once you get into that flow, it's not. We'll show you how.
And I can tell you, I'm looking at her right now. There is a designer that I have trained. Her name is Dawn Turner, and she is somebody who has put this into practice. She's a chief architect user who now is an eDesign Tribe user, and she still does stuff in chief architect. So just be aware that she's also built a business and figured out how to do this. Those designers who are asking about 2020, I don't work in it, but via my group, I will actually start interviewing 2020 users so that I can do a compare and contrast directly and be able to see that without and answer any questions. So my thought is maybe I'll do like a live like Sarah and I did last spring and do a compare and contrast, because I think that is one of the most Googled things other than chief architect versus SketchUp. What is 2020 versus chief architect? I think that would be an insanely valuable compare and contrast. So
just to answer Karen's question, yes, we do have videos showing how to do that. If you are a member of the platform, we've got a lot of training videos, and Annalie has put together one that would show you how to move through those steps.
I'm going to answer Val's question here. Basically, it was, you know, people make mistakes in groups. They don't always mean to comment sometimes. Do you think it's fair to give people warning when they mess up or give them a boot for etiquette? Like I said, it doesn't happen a lot in the eDesign tribe. You know, people generally follow the rules about self-promotion. However, when it does happen, it happens multiple times in a row. I do 3 strikes, you're out, unless if it's been like a really bad offense where it's like, you just don't get it. You know, like you went through and you said, DM'd you, DM'd you, DM'd you, which is blatantly against the rules. You can't just DM members within the group, because People don't like unsolicited DMs. We just talked about that. So, you know, I definitely take everything into consideration. Like I said, I hate booting people out. However, I can smell a mile away when somebody's going to be disruptful in the group. And if they like come in and they just are brand new and start promoting themselves, then I know that they immediately didn't read the rules when they came in. So I look at it on a case-by-case situation, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not booting people left and right. I booted probably 5 people from the group ever. So it's not even a big deal. But yeah, there's just some things you can and cannot do. Yeah, eDesign you. Thanks, Anne.
Yeah, Annalise in there answering a bunch of questions. So
did we answer Revit? I'm not a Revit user, so I don't.
Annalie, yeah, she answered it. It's like Revit. I know that Revit can definitely be exported to STL and a DAE. So
and DWG.
Yeah. That's how I had in my for my master's thesis. I had 3D printed the most expensive model that I've never had to build.
The process for SketchUp into the platform, we're not gonna, I don't know who iPhone is, but we're not gonna go over that right now, but there are training videos within the platform on how to do that exactly. Interested in SketchUp for renders, how do you sign up? There's a link right in this PDF, and if you go to YouTube, okay, so if you go to YouTube to our channel, and I posted it a few times actually in the group, in the eDesign tribe, if you go to announcements in that tab at the top, you're gonna see all the things that have been important that I have saved there. One of them is the PDF here, and also the recorded videos. We take all these and then we put them on our YouTube channel. In the YouTube channel, in the comments, you'll see this PDF, and these are clickable. So you can click this link, but also, Sarah, do you wanna just say what your URL is?
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta look it up real quick.
Sketchup for renders.teach. So maybe just find the PDF, and then Sarah can comment later and let you know what that is, okay? All right, cool, guys. I got to get on a mentor call, so thank you so much for coming out today. We really appreciate it. We're going to keep doing these until we can leave our house again. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
So
and
good or bad, depending. Right? Yeah, everybody be well.
Yeah, I'm going. It's my 5-year wedding anniversary today, so my husband and previously screaming baby. So you guys have an amazing day, and hopefully wherever you are, it's sunny. So bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.